Hello duelists and welcome back to Draw Phase. I'm your host lowtierhero, and today we're diving deep into a world of strategic mayhem. We're breaking down the Kashtira deck, a strategy that is shaking up the Master Duel meta with its incredible special summoning capabilities, disruptive banishing effects, and powerful extra deck plays. But as with every deck, it has its own set of vulnerabilities, and that's where our analysis will focus today. We will explore a plethora of counters specifically tailored to break down the Kashtira strategy, giving you the upper hand in your next duel. So let's shuffle up and get started. And while we're at it, if you enjoy these deep dives into these Yu-Gi-Oh counter guides and strategies, don't forget to interact with the video to get us onto that algorithm. Please like, comment, share, follow, and subscribe. We appreciate you very, very much. Let's go ahead and begin by covering how this strategy is intended to be played. Number 1, special summoning. Kashtira, Fenrir, Ogre, and Unicorn can be special summoned from the hand when they control no monsters, establishing an early field presence and bypassing the need for tributes. That is pretty powerful considering how strong Fenrir, Ogre, and Unicorn's effects are. Number 2, search and recycle capabilities. Each of the 3 main Kashtira monsters has an effect that adds a different Kashtira card type, monster, trap, or spell from their deck to their hand during their main phase, creating consistent card advantage and fueling their strategy. Number 3, card banishment. These monsters, along with Kashtira Riseheart, possess effects that can banish their opponent's cards face down when they attack or in response to their opponent's actions. Basically, if your opponent activates an effect, these monsters are going off, and this allows them to disrupt their opponent's strategy and limit their resources. They're also very great at setting up their extra deck monsters. Cards like Kashtira Riseheart can easily change its level to 7, making it a perfect material for summoning the deck's key XYZ monsters. This deck can not only beat down, set up big boards, but it can also control the game state with the use of extra deck monsters. Kashtira Shangri can special summon Kashtira monsters from the deck and restrict their opponent's available zones. Number 89, Diablosis the Mind Hacker, intensifies the banishing strategy. And number 11, Big Eye, can take control of the opponent's monsters. Let's not forget the other available cards that are available to this strategy here on Master Duel. They also have continuous spell and trap support. Kashtira Birth facilitates easy summoning of level 7 monsters and can special summon Kashtira monsters from banished or graveyard zones. Kashtira Preparations allows for special summoning Kashtira monsters from their hand or their banished zones and disrupts their opponent's hands if they can activate a trap. And do not forget synergy with additional cards. This deck pairs up effectively with the Ascendant of Thunder, Side Beast, Astro Karibo to enhance its summoning and protective capabilities, and it pairs up very, very well with Dimensional Shifter, which can further enhance its banishing angle with the deck. Now that we've covered how to play the deck, let's take a look at some of the generic choke points in the Kashtira strategy. Number 1, initial special summoning dependence. The strategy relies heavily on being able to special summon the key Kashtira monsters. That's Fenrir, Ogre, or Unicorn, especially Unicorn. If this is prevented, the deck loses its early momentum, which is good for you, bad for them. At number 2, we've got search and recycle vulnerabilities. The strategy heavily depends on the search effects of its monsters. Disrupting these searches can severely hamper the deck's ability to establish and maintain its game plan. Continuous spell and trap reliance. The strategy leans on its continuous spell and trap cards, Birth, and Preparations to maintain board presence and resource recovery. Disabling or removing these can slow down or cripple the strategy in some instances. The Kashtira strategy has an extra deck focus. The deck is geared towards XYZ summoning its key monsters, which means that disrupting the XYZ summon or the effects of these extra deck monsters can be devastating. Okay, moving on to direct counters. In this counter guide and in foreseeable future counter guides, I will not be covering Maxi because Maxi is already if you're not playing it, you're kind of handicapping yourself. The following 10 cards are in no specific order and will be subjective to your playstyle and the synergy that these texts have within your own personal strategy. To begin this list, we've got Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. You want to activate this card against Kashtira, Ogre, Fenrir, or Unicorn. Primarily, Fenrir will be target number 1, followed up by Unicorn when they activate their search effects. Why? Because this prevents the deck from gaining card advantage and disrupts the initial setup of the Kashtira strategy. Ghost Ogre, and Snow Rabbit. You want to activate this when your opponent activates the continuous spell Birth or the Trap Preparations. It'll remove these key cards from the field, hindering the opponent and causing the deck to lose board presence and resource recovery. Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill. Effect Veiler, Infinite Impermanence. You want to activate this when your opponent special summons Kashtira Rice Heart and is likely to change its level for an XYZ summon. You want to activate this on your opponent when they summon Kashtira Shangri to special summon Kashtira monsters from the deck and limit your zones. Dark Ruler No More. You want to activate this obviously at the start of your turn. It's a going second card and is brutal against any deck at this point except for maybe Labyrinth, and it's going to negate all of your opponent's monsters that are face up, and you can't even respond to it unless you activate a spell or trap in response to Dark Ruler No More. Otherwise, those monsters are done. Triple Tactics Talents. After your opponent activates a Kashtira monster effect during your main phase, especially one that disrupts your plays or negates your card effects, and depending on the chosen effect, potentially take control of the XYZ or any of their Kashtira monsters, or go ahead and activate it for card advantage, which is probably the better play out of all three of the effects for Triple Tactics Talents, because to disrupt your opponent's board, gain card advantage, or remove crucial monsters from your opponent's field. So it's really going to be subjective to the game state. Next, we've got Sphere Mode. You want to activate this because Kashtira decks typically always land on 3 monsters, and by doing so, you contribute to summon Sphere Mode to their field. It's an inherent tribute, so it's not going to activate anything, and your opponent can literally do nothing to stop this. It'll clear your opponent's carefully constructed board, effectively resetting their strategy. KURIKARA. When to use after your opponent has activated multiple Kashtira monster effects, clears the opponent's field and establishes a powerful monster on your side of the field. And the last card on our direct counter list is Book of Eclipse. When to use, you want to use this when your opponent has multiple Kashtira monsters with various disruptive effects on the field. This is going to turn all of your opponent's face-up monsters to face down, temporarily neutralizing the effects of all Kashtira monsters, providing a window to break their established board. Each of these counter cards is intended to disrupt a different aspect of the Kashtira strategy at a critical moment, making it harder for that strategy to execute its game plan effectively. Now let's go ahead and move on to the board breakers. We've got Nibiru the Primal Being. We also have the Kaijus and Santa Claus. We've got Evenly Matched. We've got Raigeki, Lightning Storm, and Dark Hole. Believe it or not, there's actually not an answer from Kashtira at this point in time to respond to Raigeki, Lightning Storm, and Dark Hole. It's crazy. And the versatility of Lightning Storm is that you can either destroy all their attack position monsters that your opponent controls or get rid of their back row. Each of these board breaker counter cards is designed to significantly disrupt or completely break your opponent's cards at critical moments, making it incredibly difficult for the Kashtira strategy to execute its game plan effectively. And last but not least, we've got some floodgates here for you that I want to share. We've got Skill Drain. Keep in mind that Skill Drain is a very debatable card. The reason being is because yes, it's going to negate the effects of all effect monsters on the field, shutting down their search and their recycle capabilities of the Kashtira monsters, but these monsters are fairly big, known as beat sticks. Goes in Match. You want to use this as quickly as possible because Kashtira decks run a variety of attributes. You've got water, wind, earth, and fire, so this thing is going to limit the opponents to controlling only one attribute of monster. We got Rivalry of the Warlord, same thing. They are psychic monsters, but not every single card is a psychic monster. You've got Rise of Heart, that is a warrior, and their XYZs, they are also a different variety of monster types. So Rivalry of the Warlords is a little bit slower than Goes in Match, but it still can pack a punch. Dimensional Barrier. When you predict your opponent is about to initiate an XYZ summon, which is the Kashtira's literal strategy, and it's what's geared towards, especially with monsters like Kashtira Rice Heart, you want to just go ahead and activate this floodgate, call XYZs. Your opponent won't be able to summon them, and if they have any sort of XYZs already on the board, they won't be able to activate their effects. And the last floodgate on our list is Imperial Iron Wall. You want to use this at the start of the game if you are already aware that your opponent is using a Kashtira deck, obviously, which focuses heavily on banishing cards. This thing is just literally going to stop them in their tracks. If you want something a little bit more faster than an Imperial Iron Wall, that is not a floodgate, but is a pseudo floodgate. It is primarily a hand trap. You can also run Lancia. Lancia is a great tech. Each of these floodgate counter cards aims to drastically slow down or completely halt specific specific aspects of your opponent's strategy. They are highly effective at creating a scenario where your opponent's deck can't function as intended, giving you a significant advantage in the duel. And there you have it, duelists, a comprehensive breakdown of the Kashtira deck and a tailored set of counters to dismantle it. From board breakers like Nibiru to floodgates like Skill Drain, we've got you covered in a wide array of tools that you can add to your arsenal to ensure you have the upper hand against this formidable strategy. Remember, the key to becoming a master duelist is understanding not just your own deck, but your opponent's strategy as well. A huge thank you for joining me, Low Tier Hero, on today's episode at Draw Phase. If you found this video helpful and informative, please give us a thumbs up, drop a comment with your thoughts or your own counter strategies below, and share this video with your fellow duelists. And most importantly, if you haven't already done so, please smash that subscribe button and follow us here at Draw Phase for more content that will keep you one step ahead of your competition. And until next time, my friends,